Hello and welcome to QTV News Magazine Online, your internet source for current local gay news, information, and entertainment 24/7. Let's take a look now at our first ever News of the Day that's gay from around the Bay.
Jury deliberation is still underway in the brutal murder trial of a Newark transgender teenager allegedly strangled to death by 3 suspects awaiting a jury's fate in a Hayward courtroom. It is a hate crime so heinous and bizarre that it's setting precedents nationwide as defense attorneys argue that the suspects were robbed of their right to be heterosexual, claiming Araujo pretended to be a woman when biologically Gwen is a man. At a recent community forum held at the San Francisco LGBT Community Center, journalists and legal experts examined the wide-ranging ramifications of Araujo's traumatic murder and what it unfortunately says about hate crime against gays and, in particular, those who are transgender.
This wasn't just any kind of murder. It was a torture. It was a very purposeful kind of murder. It's the worst kind of murder, I think.
Hammer sees the defense, in this case that's grabbed national headlines, as being way off the mark to the point of absurd.
Is it the murder of a transgender person cheaper? Is that cheap murder? Or is her life worth what everyone else's life is worth? There was nothing rash about it. And that attorneys can stand up in a court today in 2004 and say that the killing was justified in some way because poor Gwen, threatened their heterosexuality, I think is offensive.
The Araujo case and trial is stirring old emotions and reminding some legal minds of the Harvey Milk George Moscone murders in 1978. In that famous case, Dan White, who murdered Milk and Moscone, served just 3 years of a 7-year sentence.
What boiled the whole case down for me was one of the statements made by defense attorney during the closing arguments, and it was that Gwen had violated the defendants, I almost flipped and said victim, because that's how they want to paint these men, their right to be heterosexual.
Those in charge of a special Gwen Araujo Memorial Fund are naturally watching the outcome of the trial. They want nothing short of justice.
Anything less than murder with a hate crime enhancement is a problem. This was a very clear murder, a very clear hate crime, and we need a strong message to our society about what happens when you kill a transgender person.
And the fear now is that a jury that's deliberated for more than 2 weeks will return a verdict that carries a lesser charge.
And if it comes in that way, then we really need to change the law in Sacramento to say that defense is no longer available in California.
But one thing, some say, should happen in California despite whatever verdict the jury renders. It's attacking the problem of hate crime by starting with education about the crime in schools statewide.
Hate crimes are preventable, and they're preventable through education, and it's all of our responsibility to make sure that we educate our society.
On trial really right now is whether or not 12 ordinary people from California will buy the kind of prejudice that's built into the defense in the case.
I don't know if you caught that, but that really sums up the entire defense, that Gwen, by deceiving them, robbed them of their right to be heterosexual.
This case has already sent shockwaves through LGBT communities nationwide, and if the verdict is less than murder, the community will be moved to action.
I plan to march, and I hope a lot of people turn out if that verdict comes in anything other than murder.
This is Ken Ludden reporting from San Francisco for QTV News Magazine.